Now at 5:30, we're staying on top of breaking news. A shooting in Charlotte. Chief Johnny Jennings talking right now. Let's listen.
Made deliberate attempts to try and run the officer over. The officer made every attempt to escape the car and move away from the car as he was running from the vehicle, and then the officer was left with no option other than to fire at the vehicle, where he struck the female, as well as she continued to drive, and a car chase ensued. This is one of those situations we never wanted to end this way, but we do have video evidence that supports all accounts that I just told you. I was able to review that video, and unfortunately the officer was left with no choice other than to use deadly force. Again, I do pray that this female is going to be okay and get whatever help she needs. However, our officer was in a very dangerous situation, and by the grace of God, he was not injured or killed during this encounter. So,
Chief, can you tell us what her situation is right now, her condition? Is it life-threatening?
Don't have any idea right now. I know she's been transported to the hospital. We're hoping to find out a lot more about her condition here soon.
Chief, we heard there's a second scene where the vehicle and this pursuit ended. Can you talk about that? Yeah,
so the second scene is really, this is the most relevant scene here where the actual shooting occurred. Again, like I mentioned, there was a car chase that ensued. Officers pursued the vehicle, and the second scene is actually where we were able to apprehend her and make the arrest.
Chief, how's the officer doing right now, and have you talked to him yet?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I do plan on going to see the officer here in just a few minutes. The officer was transported to the hospital just for evaluation. However, there were no physical injuries to the officer, and it sounds that he's in good spirits now and did an excellent job out here on the scene.
Chief, you've seen the video. How close was he when he fired the shot? What was it? Was she coming right at him?
Well, I'm not going to get too detailed into that, but what I can tell you is all of the encounters, there were multiple attempts to run the officer over. He made every effort to get away from the vehicle. He a couple of times were very, very close to hitting the officer. So I think we're fortunate that we didn't have two people injured during this incident.
Was this running at his cruiser, or when the officer arrived in his cruiser?
He was on an enduro motorbike, so it's basically a dirt bike, and the officer arrived on that. That was her first attempt to try and run him over. He had to flee from the bike itself, and made several attempts to get away from the vehicle. So he made every effort he could possibly do, but again, this is an unfortunate ending to a very stressful situation.
And is that second scene Cedar Creek Lane where the stop ended?
Yes, my understanding it is Cedar Creek Lane where we were able to apprehend her.
Chief, is SBI going to be called in? Any involvement from them?
Yes, this will be an SBI investigation. They've been notified. They're on the way to come out to the scene, but they will lead the investigation criminally, and then we will do an internal subsequent parallel investigation along with that.
Chief, do you know if she had fired shots here at the beauty supply store?
Yes, all indication is that she fired shots prior to officers arriving on the scene.
Okay, guys, we're going to get him back, and we'll update you with the press release in just a little bit, and obviously keep you updated on the developments.
All right, thanks.
Thank you,
All right, guys.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're coming back out here. We're here at the scene.
Okay, you've been listening to a live news conference with Chief Johnny Jennings, CNP.
Chief Johnny Jennings.
Shooting in South Charlotte. Two scenes, one near the corner of Tyvola Road and South Boulevard, the other near Cedar Creek Lane. We know that police shot a woman, deadly force used. We don't know of a fatal outcome at this time. She was transported at the hospital.
Yeah, the police chief there was talking about how this woman, they believe, was at a beauty store and had fired shots, and there was a car chase. Apparently, they say that she tried to run an officer down. The officer had no choice but to use deadly force, as he calls it. SBI investigation is going to go underway, and then a separate internal investigation from CMPD. And
remember, we'll stay on top of this breaking news. Our reporter Brandon Goldner on the scene. Also follow us here and on our news app. Enable the push notifications to get those breaking alerts. Download the app. It's a free download in Google Play.